Hello, fellow traveller. Tonight, we're going to see what life was like during a lonely Viking winter. Before we begin, make sure to leave a comment letting me know where you're tuning in from. I always enjoy seeing how far these quiet stories reach. Let us begin. The wind has been speaking for hours now. It moves through the trees like a ghost, pressing against the longhouse, slipping between the old wooden boards with a steady, cold breath. The walls groan softly with each gust, but they do not give. They've stood through worse. You lie near the hearth, wrapped in thick wool, the fur of a bear beneath your shoulders. The fire has burned low, but its warmth lingers. It glows in the coals, like the last breath of the sun, quiet and steady. You haven't moved in some time. The weight of the blanket, the smell of smoke, and the deep silence have held you still. The longhouse is empty tonight. The others have gone, off to hunt or trade, or perhaps sail once more across the sea. They left 3 days ago, boots thudding against the frost, voices sharp in the morning cold. You told them your leg ached, that the wound from the last fight still stung when you stood too fast. That was partly true. The truth they didn't hear is simpler than that. You wanted quiet. You needed it. There is something about winter in the north. It slows everything down. It silences the noise. It strips away everything that doesn't matter. Out here, the wind makes its own music, and the snow erases all footsteps. You sit up slowly and reach for the iron poker beside the fire pit. One soft push and the coals shift, cracking softly. A few sparks leap up, like startled fireflies. You toss on a dry sliver of birch and watch it curl in the heat. The light flickers against the beams above you. A wooden bowl sits nearby with the remains of your supper. Fish, roots, and broth gone cold. You take a final sip, letting it settle in your chest, more for warmth than hunger. Your eyes scan the longhouse. The space is familiar, shaped by habit and memory. There are lines on the walls from where the drying racks used to hang, old stains from long-gone spills, the outline of a shield once mounted by the door. You know every inch of this place, even in the dark. It creaks and breathes like something alive. Hanging from the ceiling are dried herbs from the last harvest. They sway gently with the wind's rhythm, brushing one another with the softest sound. Above the hearth, a carving of Thor's hammer rests against the beam. You reach for it, turning it in your hands. The wood is worn smooth, edges rounded by years of handling. Your father carved it long ago. You remember his voice, quiet but certain, telling you to keep it near in the cold months. Outside, the snow falls again. You can't see it, but you hear it. A subtle hiss against the roof, like sand on leather. Every so often, something drops with a dull thud from the eaves, heavy with melt and frost. You lie back again and pull the blanket to your chin. The fire's warmth touches your cheek. You stare upward, watching the shadows play across the rafters. The night is still. Not empty, just still. It's strange how quiet can feel full if you let it. There was a time when you feared nights like this, when the silence felt like something that crept closer with every breath. But now you've learned to live inside it, to listen. You close your eyes for a moment. Behind your lids, you picture the sea. Not the sea of summer raids or war cries. A winter sea, grey, frozen along the edges, still as bone. You imagine the longboats resting on the shore, hulls half buried in frost, their dragon heads gazing silently out toward the ice. A soft creak pulls you back. You open your eyes again, slowly. Just the rafters shifting, just the cold pressing against the boards. You sit up and toss another sliver of wood onto the coals. It catches slowly curling with a faint flame, enough to brighten the room without waking it. Your hands, rough and scarred, rest in your lap. You rub one thumb across the other slowly. There's an ache in your right shoulder, old and dull. A reminder of the year you held the shield too long and lowered it too late. You think of faces now. Faces you haven't seen in months. Some are dead, some are too far. A few may still come back. You don't mourn them, but you carry them. That's what winter does. It pulls the past up from the soil and lays it beside you. The fire crackles once, and you blink. You hadn't noticed your breath had slowed. You were almost dreaming, half awake, half gone. Outside, something calls in the distance. A single cry. Maybe a fox. Maybe something else. You're not afraid. You're too tired for fear. Besides, the door is barred and the snow is deep. You shift on the fur, nestling into the shape your body has made. The warmth beneath you is soft. The night is long, but you don't mind. It can take its time. There's nowhere to be. Nothing to prove. Nothing left to fight. You close your eyes for a moment. Behind your lids, you picture the sea. Not the sea of summer raids or war cries. A winter sea, grey, frozen along the edges, still as bone. You imagine the longboats resting on the shore, hulls half buried in frost, their dragon heads gazing silently out toward the ice. A soft creak pulls you back. You open your eyes again, slowly. Just the rafters shifting, just the cold pressing against the boards. You sit up and toss another sliver of wood onto the coals. It catches slowly, curling with a faint flame, enough to brighten the room without waking it. Your hands, rough and scarred, rest in your lap. You rub one thumb across the other slowly. There's an ache in your right shoulder, old and dull. A reminder of the year you held the shield too long and lowered it too late. You think of faces now. Faces you haven't seen in months. Some are dead, some are too far. A few may still come back. You don't mourn them, but you carry them. That's what winter does. It pulls the past up from the soil and lays it beside you. The fire crackles once, and you blink. You hadn't noticed your breath had slowed. You were almost dreaming, half awake, half gone. Outside, something calls in the distance. A single cry. Maybe a fox. Maybe something else. You're not afraid. You're too tired for fear. Besides, the door is barred. The snow is deep. You shift on the fur, nestling into the shape your body has made. The warmth beneath you is soft. The night is long, but you don't mind. It can take its time. There's nowhere to be. Nothing to prove. Nothing left to fight. Not tonight. You watch the shadows flicker once more along the beam above you, then close your eyes again. You let the fire breathe. You let the wind speak. You let your thoughts drift like smoke, carried gently into the folds of the night. Sleep doesn't take you all at once. It comes like snow, soft, quiet, inevitable. You're not sure how long you've been lying there, staring at the rafters. The fire's glow has dimmed again, but the warmth still lingers in the space around you, like a soft breath from an old friend. It doesn't take much to heat the room when you're the only one left breathing in it. The silence deepens, not just the quiet of sound, but the quiet that stretches between thoughts. You feel it settle around you like snow on the roof, layer by layer, until everything is muffled, softened, still. You sit up once more, slowly, and reach for the ladle beside the hearth. There's a pot still resting in the coals. You'd left it there earlier, hoping the broth would stay warm. You stir it gently. The liquid ripples, catching the faint orange light and a bit of steam rises, just enough to remind you it's still good. You take a sip straight from the ladle. The warmth fills your mouth, runs down your throat, and rests in your chest like a gentle hand. Salt, fish, root, simple food. It does what it must. The ladle clinks softly as you set it back down. You lean your back against one of the wooden beams. The surface is smooth in some places, rough in others. You've sat against it so many nights before, and your shape is practically carved into it now. The wolves are quiet tonight. You'd expected more howling with this much snow. But even the wild things have retreated into their own corners of the forest. You wonder if they huddle together like men do. If they curl around one another in dens dug deep beneath the frost, waiting for spring. The idea brings you comfort. That somewhere, out there in the white and black of night, warmth exists, even if hidden. You close your eyes and listen. There's something about deep winter that feels close to the gods. Not in the dramatic way the skalds describe. No thunder, no visions, no ravens at the door. Just a presence, like the earth is older in the cold, and the veil between worlds wears thin. You reach into the leather pouch beside you and pull out a tiny charm. Just a simple piece of amber, polished smooth, tied with a bit of thread. You roll it between your fingers, letting it warm in your hand. You've carried it since your mother gave it to you, long before your first raid, long before you had scars to count. She used to tell you stories in winters like this, about spirits in the trees, about souls that wandered with the wind, about gods who walked among the poor in disguise. You didn't believe all of it, but you never truly stopped listening either. A draft moves through the longhouse, soft and cold against your cheek. You pull the blanket tighter and look toward the door. Still closed, still sealed. It wasn't the wind, it was just the house settling, breathing, remembering. You murmur a line from an old prayer. Not loudly, not even for the gods really, just for the rhythm of it. The words feel smooth in your mouth, shaped by years of repetition. They don't ask for anything, they just exist. The fire pops again, sending a faint spray of sparks upward. One ember leaps higher than the rest, spirals, then falls. You smile a little. It reminds you of sailing in the dark, stars above, torchlight dancing on the water, the smell of pitch and salt. You remember how quiet the sea could get between winds, the way the waves would whisper like voices just out of reach. You'd lie on your back in the boat, eyes to the sky, listening for answers you didn't expect to receive. You never really knew what you were listening for. Maybe nothing, maybe peace. Tonight feels the same. You lie back again, carefully shifting until the fur beneath you molds to your weight. The firelight flickers against the beams, shadows bending gently like reeds in wind. For a moment, you think of the others, the ones gone off to fight or trade or chase gold. You wonder where they are right now. Whether they're in a tent on some frozen hill, or curled beneath a boat on a foreign shore. Whether they're warm, whether they're breathing. You're not sure if you miss them exactly, but there's a hollowness where their noise used to be. A space in the longhouse that used to be filled with boots and snoring and laughter that now holds only the fire's whisper. It's not a bad feeling, just different, just winter. A gust of wind rattles the beams and fades. You don't flinch, you let it pass, like everything else does. Your eyes are heavy now. The night stretches out in both directions, deep and wide. The snow outside is piling high. You imagine it blanketing the path, the well, the boats by the shore. Everything soft, hidden, safe. You run your hand across the furs once more, grounding yourself in the moment. The fire, the scent of smoke, the weight of the blanket, the way the quiet wraps around you like a second skin. You're not in danger. You're not in pain. You're not alone. Not truly. You breathe in slowly, then out. Again, slower this time. Each breath pulling you closer to something quieter than sleep. You feel your body begin to drift, one thought at a time, like snow falling without sound. You'll let it. The coals have faded to a dull red, their glow low and steady, like the final breath of the day. No flames remain, just warmth wrapped in ash. You lie there, quiet, your body still beneath the weight of wool and fur, not from exhaustion, but because stillness feels right. Somewhere outside, a heavy clump of snow drops from the roof and lands with a soft thud. The sound is muffled, distant, quickly swallowed by the drifts that now cover the village. There is no one walking the paths, no footsteps, no dogs barking, no laughter echoing from the long hall. The whole world is buried under white silence. The air inside is thick with the scent of smoke, pine, and something older. Old wood, old winters, old breath. The longhouse feels like it's holding its breath, waiting with you for spring. You roll slightly, shifting your weight, and your fingers brush the edge of the carved bench beside you. The wood is cold. Your hand lingers there, tracing a notch you don't remember carving. Someone else must have made it long ago, maybe even someone whose name has been forgotten. You think about that, how names vanish, how even the loudest warriors, the fiercest raiders can be swallowed by time. Their voice is gone, their weapons rusted, their deeds turned to mist. But not yet. You're still here. A low creak comes from the beams overhead as they settle in the cold. You stare upward, watching the rafters stretch out like the ribs of some slumbering beast. A little daylight filters in through a slit in the wall, faint and blue, barely noticeable against the gloom. Dawn, perhaps, or just the reflection of the snow outside. You're not certain, and it doesn't matter. The house is wrapped in shadow, but it doesn't feel empty. It feels full of memory, as if the air itself remembers every voice that's ever filled this space. Every song sung off-key after too much ale. Every whispered story told beside the hearth. Every farewell spoken before battle. Every name called into the dark, unanswered. You reach for the pouch beside your bed and pull out the small charm once more. Amber, smooth and warm from your touch. You don't say anything, you just hold it. There's a comfort in its shape. Not magic, just memory. You sit up slowly, letting the blanket fall to your waist and lean toward the hearth. The coals pulse dimly, like they're dreaming. You stir them with a bit of charred wood. They respond with a soft exhale of heat, nothing more. You consider feeding the fire again, but decide against it. The night is nearly over. Let the coals rest too. With the glow still flickering faintly, you stand and stretch your limbs. Your joints ache a little as you rise. Not sharply, just the ache of a body that has carried too many winters. The cold nips at your feet through the boards, and you quickly step back into the furs, pulling them tight again as you settle down. You glance toward the corner of the room, where the tools rest. The axe, the carving knife, the fishing net you mended weeks ago. None of it needs your attention now. You remember a night like this, years ago, when the snow piled so high that it reached the edge of the roof. That time, your uncle had told stories well into the night, tales of giants frozen in the mountains, of spirits that wandered from house to house, testing hearts in the cold. You hadn't believed most of it, but you had listened anyway. Everyone did. That was the warmth of winter then. People, noise, stories shared. Now it's just you and the quiet. And yet somehow, it feels complete. Your eyes drift to the wall where shadows flicker across the old wooden carvings. The patterns are worn now, barely visible in places, smoothed by smoke and time. But you remember what each one means. You remember who carved them. You remember what they feared. There's a softness in your chest now. Not sadness, but something slower. Acceptance. That this is the rhythm of life here. You grow. You fight. You build. You lose. You remember. And sometimes you wait. You shift onto your side, resting your head against the folded cloak you've used as a pillow. The fur cradles you gently. The cold no longer bites. It just exists, beyond the warmth you've made for yourself. Your breath slows, each exhale curling into the air, before disappearing. A sense of peace settles in your bones, the kind that only winter gives, the kind that doesn't ask anything from you but stillness. The charm rests in your hand, forgotten now, its thread wrapped around your fingers. You let it go, and it falls silently to your chest. In the distance, far beyond the walls, a tree groans under the weight of ice. The sound barely reaches you. Everything between here and there is snow. You listen once more to the house, the wood, the wind, the fire's final breath, and you feel yourself loosening. Not from fatigue, but from time, from urgency, from memory. There is no story you need to tell tonight, no duty that demands you rise. The world can wait. Morning will come when it's ready. You breathe in slowly and let it out. The longhouse is still, and so are you. The world outside is changing. You can feel it even with your eyes closed. The dark isn't as heavy now. It's thinning, just a little, like the sky is softening above the snow. The storm has passed. No more wind. No more branches cracking in the forest. Only stillness, layered deep. A faint light creeps along the cracks in the wall, turning black shadows into gentle grey. Morning, perhaps. But not a morning that calls for action, just one that exists. The longhouse hasn't changed, but it feels lighter somehow, like it's exhaled something it's been holding all night. Maybe you have too. You pull the blanket tighter and shift a little deeper into the warmth beneath you. The fur welcomes you back. The cold no longer reaches. Not in here. Your breath is slow now, steady and quiet. The kind of breath that doesn't carry thoughts, just rhythm. You don't think about what needs doing tomorrow. There's always something, but it doesn't matter now. Not yet. Your fingers rest against the edge of the fur, motionless. You feel the blood moving beneath your skin, slow and even. Your legs are heavy. Chest rises without effort. You've melted into the shape of this place. For a moment, you imagine the snow outside, untouched, blanketing every roof, every field, every road. No footprints, no sound, just peace. The kind that belongs to no one and offers itself to anyone still enough to feel it. And here you are, still. You let your eyes stay closed. The fire is out. The night has passed. And you are safe. You are warm. You are home. Sleep takes you gently. No noise, no struggle. Just the silence of winter and the promise of light.